Hey y'all, Kentucky Farmer here, and welcome back to the 4th episode in this Pleasant Valley 17 version 2 tutorial series. In this episode I want to cover two basic things about the map, and both of them kind of relate to how to reduce server lag in a multiplayer scenario. So this map is really geared towards being used in a multiplayer game, and when you have a lot of players on a map and you have a lot of equipment on the map, it doesn't take very long for you to start to run into issues with server lag. And there's a couple different things, or common causes for that, and there's a few things this map does to help address that. So one of the big sources of lag on servers is bales, and as you can see I've got quite an assortment of bales here in front of us. And on this map there's this little storage facility here. And if we take a look at the map, you can see we were down here at the South Station. And there's this little facility here. Now, I've already put some bales in it, but when you start the game, there won't be bales here. It'll just be the wire, like fencing and the beams and the roof, right? So, it's not, there's no signs, there's no help text, there's really nothing to indicate what this is or why it's here. But it is a bale storage facility. And it's a little bit different because these aren't actually bales, right? As you can see, I can kind of walk into it and I don't get the icon. For example, if I come up to this bale here, you see I get my hand icon on the screen. That means it's actually sensing it as an object. So these aren't actually objects, they're just graphical representations of the bales. Those bales aren't really there. And that's one of the ways that this will help reduce server lag. So I just wanted to kind of give you a rundown of this. For starters, if you open up your slash menu, which we talked about that in a previous video, over here under warehouses, you're going to have two to choose from. You're going to have the square bale storage and the round bale storage. And as you can see, we've got a couple liters of silage, straw, and hay round bales, and grass, straw, and hay square bales. And you can kind of see those represented in front of us here. We've got straw round bale, hay round bale, silage round bale. If you notice, there is no grass round bale storage. So here we've got straw square bale, hay square bale, and grass square bale. There is no silage square bale storage. And to offload into these, for either of the round bales, you can just drive down these center aisles. So if you notice, I've got one here on the forks. I just drive in here, and it takes it and puts it over there. Easy as that. And if you wanted to, say you have the loading wagons. The loading wagons are a little tricky because they don't fit very well inside that to unload. And so what I've kind of been doing is I'll come around from the other direction here, and then I want to pull through, and I want to pull through just far enough so that where my arm clears that post, and then I can do the unload. And then before I actually finish the unload, I want to back up as far as I can, and there you go. And then we'll put that back down. And the same basic thing works for the square bale stackers. So you can see I've got some straw, hay, and grass bales here. So again, I want to pull through just far enough to where the arm clears. Tell it to unload. And there go the bales. Alternatively, if you want, you can also use a Flegel auto-loading trailer like I've got here. And we'll just pull right down here into the aisle. And then I can tell this, we'll bring up our menu here. And we're just going to unload center, so then Y to unload. Kind of misses a couple, there we go. Alright, so here I've got a stack of hay bales that I'm ready to offload, and I'm fairly certain that one of those is actually a grass bale. Alright, so yep, sure enough. That one right there is a grass bale, so as you can see it's not accepting that. If we wrap it, it'll work fine. But it's not going to take that bale. Alright, so here we got a stack of hay bales, and we'll drop those in. Alright, now we've got a stack of grass bales, and they go in just like that. So now that we've got all of our bales loaded in here, let's talk a minute about why this matters. So when the game has to actually render in bales as objects, they're things that can be like interacted with, right? And so this object has like physics being computed with the ground and nearby objects, and if they're in a stack. You may or may not have heard that like one of the tips in this game is if you're going to use these auto stacks and you're going to make big stacks of bales, try not to set the stacks too close to each other. And that's because the stack itself is computing the physics of how everything's interacting with it, but then if you set it next to other stacks, then they can kind of interact with each other, and it becomes a little overwhelming for the game to try and figure all that out. And so in a multiplayer scenario, by loading it all in here, it basically becomes a number, right? The only thing that the computer has to know is that there's 102,000 liters of grass square bales. It doesn't have to know their position, which one's touching which one, things like that. And that's how it helps cut down on server lag. So then, once you have some stuff in here, say we want to take out some round bales, let's take out some of these straw bales. You'll notice if we hover over it here, it says load bale. So just click that button and you see it will load out 2 bales here. And then you can come through with, say, a loading wagon. And now the loading wagon can pick up these 2 bales, just like that. Another thing that's worth noting is that since those bales that are in there are just kind of a graphical representation of a bale, they're not actually bales. If we were to come in here next to this stack with an auto-loading trailer and then set this to load, so it's not picking them up. But what we could do, it's going to get that grass bale, but it's alright. We'll come right around here. Like that. We're still in work position, and I can bring up my round bale menu and I can load these. And now I can load up my auto-loading trailer all at once without having to you know, go through the got one stuck in there. There we go. Without having to go through the work of with those bale stackers of, you know, driving around picking up each one individually. And then if you didn't actually want them, you can always come back in here and say unload center. Ta-da! And now they're all back in the storage facility. So that is the basics of how you use the bale storage facility. The next thing I wanted to cover is these barns. These barns are not just for looks. These actually serve a purpose. And if you notice there, that said O to shut the gates. So they put the doors on here for a reason. So if you notice, we've got a crone, we've got a warrior, we've got a bale wrapper, we've got this Adele rake, baler, tedder, got the attachment there behind that mower, we've got this baler. So we've got all this equipment in here, and whenever you're in proximity of the equipment, the game has to draw in and render the equipment, which can consume you know, graphic resources, and it also requires all this equipment to be synchronized with all the players who are in the multiplayer game. And so by using these barns, if we shut the door, and we'll shut it actually while we're standing inside the barn, all of our equipment's gone. So by putting the equipment in here and shutting the door, it actually despawns the equipment from the game. And this way the game does not have to render the equipment, the game does not have to coordinate the position of the equipment on the multiplayer server, and it can help really cut down on lag inside the game. And if you notice, when you approach one of the doors, it actually gives you a rundown of what's inside the barn, so that you don't necessarily have to open every door to figure out where a piece of equipment is. If you approach this barn from the outside, you'll get these icons. You go, oh, that's the barn where I keep all my hay equipment. Okay. You know, and not have to like leave the doors open in order to know where everything is. And then all you do is approach the door, press O, doors open, and all your equipment comes back. The lights turn on. One thing you'll notice here is that when your equipment comes back, it's in the same place, but it's not attached anymore. So this isn't attached, that's not attached, that baler's not attached, this rake is sitting on the ground, it's not actually attached. It's almost like, you know, when you have the game customize a piece of equipment at the workshop, if you have a weight attached or something like that, when it comes back it'll be detached. Or, you know, when you buy something at the store, it plops it down, you know, and you have to then attach it. It's kind of the same principle. When it's despawned and it comes back, everything's going to be detached and you have to reattach it all. So those are two of the big things that can really help with reducing lag in multiplayer games. The other thing that helps, that is worth noting in case no one is aware of it, but logs. For the exact same reason why bales cause problems, logs cause problems. And unfortunately there isn't a really good solution for that other than to just not have big piles of logs. Just cut down trees as you need them, turn them into wood chips because wood chips don't cause lag, and then you know, just avoid making big piles of logs basically. So hopefully you found this video useful. If you did, would you please give it a thumbs up? That helps a lot. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. And if you haven't already, please subscribe for more farming simulator videos. I'm Kentucky Farmer. Thanks for watching.